Hello and welcome to Junior Achievement's Virtual Speaker Series. Today we're going to be talking about public speaking, and our guest today is Marilyn Brown, or Coach MB as she is also known as, and Marilyn is a leadership development coach. Hello Marilyn, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me, Claire. It's a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. Would you mind telling our students, first of all, what a leadership development coach is?
Yeah, as a leadership development coach, I work with organizations and leaders within organization to be more effective in all parts of their leadership. We work with groups in terms of communication, managing conflict, making decisions, and I get to work with leaders to help them become more self-aware of how they're showing up.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. So I know today's topic is public speaking, and I'm sure that is one of the things you coach your companies and individuals in. So why do some people, or why may our students find it hard to speak in public?
I think most people find it hard to speak in public. When I tell people what I do, and I'm also a Toastmaster, which is a public speaking group, and when I tell people what I do, their reaction is, I could never do that. Oh my God, I can't do that. But the point is we all can. And it's really necessary for us to learn how to speak in public, because you never know when you're going to be asked that spontaneous question in a classroom, have to present an essay, maybe report out on a project. But most people are afraid that they're going to be judged on how they look or how they sound, and that's why they shy away from public speaking.
Now, would you say it's harder or it's easier in this virtual world that we're all in right now?
It's really interesting. I'm finding that people who have a hard time getting up in front of a group in public and in, real space are doing much better in the virtual space. I don't know if it's because they've, played around and made videos of themselves, or they just feel more comfortable sitting in their own home. But I find that they're doing a lot better in the virtual space than sometimes they do in real life and in person.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah, it is.
So how could we tell our students they could best prepare for speaking up in a class or presenting a project?
So the first thing I would tell you is to stop telling yourself that you can't do it, that you're too shy, that you don't have the skills. Think about the first time you rode a bike. You didn't have the skills for that either. You probably rode your bike and fell off. And in fact, you probably fell off the bike a couple of times before you became proficient and confident. And it's the same thing with public speaking. The more you do it, the more confident you'll become. The second thing I tell you to do to prepare is start watching people who you think are good public speakers. And what is it that they do? Is it the stories they tell? Is it their facial expressions? What is it that they do that makes you interested? We can learn by watching others those that are better than us. And then also to prepare is to prepare your presentation and then actually stand up and say it out loud. Say it in front of your friends, your mother, your father, your sister. I have people that present in front of their dogs. And a dog is a very good audience because he doesn't give feedback. He just sits there and wags his tail and tells you how wonderful you are. But the key for preparing for me is also writing it out. I like to write out what I'm going to do or what I'm going to say, so I make sure that I have the key points that I want to cover. But really in preparing, one of the most critical things you need to do is stand up and out loud deliver that speech, presentation, whatever it is.
Okay, and you would recommend that they also practice in terms of a skill, how they read it. Do they use index cards? Where do they put their hands? Who do they look at? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so some of the skills, that's good. Some of the skills that we need, are very available to us today. So one of the first things I would tell you to do is use your technology. Almost every student has access now to a computer or a phone. And so you can videotape yourself, which is exactly what I did for the last half hour before this interview, is I practiced this interview so I could see how I was coming across. So I think that's really an important thing to do. In terms of, everybody has a different style in terms of, can they memorize what they want to talk about? Do they need index cards? The key here is the more you practice, the less you'll have to rely on your notes, but it's okay to bring notes. try to bring maybe an outline if it's a school project where you're doing research and it's not a topic that's really familiar or comfortable to you, then you may have to use some notes to refer to. Where to put your hands in the virtual world, just put them on your desk in front of you and don't worry about them.
Okay, and I know for myself, and the experience is, you know, if you're confident about what you're talking about, you portray that, it shows.
Yeah. I think that if you're being asked to do a speech and write a speech on something like spontaneously, where you're not being given a topic, then find something that you like, that you're interested in, that you can tell your story and you don't have to worry about notes. So if I have to give a speech on what I like to do when I'm a skateboarder or a surfer, or I'm really good at cooking, talk about a topic that is comfortable for you, that you can just tell your story. You don't have to worry about looking at notes because it's your story.
Right. So if you had one piece of advice, if there's a student here sitting here and thinking, oh, I have to give a pitch tomorrow, or I have to present something in class on the first week of school, I'm nervous, what would be the one piece of advice you would give to them?
So the question is really that they're nervous about it?
Yes.
Yeah. So nerves and anxiety can stop us in our track. And the first thing we can do, because I hear this all the time, I'd be too nervous. The first thing I tell people to do is change your thought pattern. So what does that mean? When we get nervous and anxious, we get those butterflies in our stomach, our heart starts pounding like it's coming out of our chest, our hands get sweaty and clammy, and our voice dries up. We can't speak. But think about the first time you went on a roller coaster or another ride at an amusement park, and you're standing online and you're watching it, and you have those butterflies in your stomach, and your heart is pounding, and your hands are clammy, but you're not nervous and anxious, you're excited. Mm-hmm. So change your thought pattern, and instead of saying, I'm so nervous about this, say, I'm so excited about it.
That's great advice. That's great advice for our students. Marilyn, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today, and I hope you come back and talk about other subjects.
I'd love to, and good luck to all of you. Just keep practicing. You can do this.
Thank you.